Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Robot Wars History Podcast. We are back yet again with another marvelous episode. And today, after a couple of drawn out ones in the form of Chaos 2 and Firestorm, we are here with Steg today. And joining me to analyse this Jurassic machine is Ollie yet again.
Hello, I am now that damn beaver because I cannot think of an actual good name, but I think I'm gonna stick with this one.
Yeah, Beaver something Beaver. You,
Yeah,
most people should know who he is eventually.
my
And
voice is rather
we are
distinct.
also joined by Dan, who is here for the first time since I think Shitbots of Series 2.
Yes, that would be accurate.
Which was such a brilliant episode to be your latest one.
It was something. Bit better than Notables.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we've had a bit of a burnout from Burnt Toast. He's not here for this episode. And yeah, we've got a bit more of a low-key lineup today. For
it's a very Southern lineup, really. No, we're all in itself.
For a robot, which on the face of it is quite modest itself, but I think just about its results.
If you're wondering where Luke is, he has decided to
not
sleep
do this
through this episode. The steadily Nick is gaining greater and greater control over this podcast. It's already on his channel, and eventually there will be nothing but Nick. Currently, if you listened into Nick's thoughts right at this moment, you just hear a very high pitched voice screaming, "Luke has fallen! Now I, NJG Woo, lead this podcast."
Oh boy,
this is gonna be a good one.
Well, as the leader, as the grand ruler of the Robot Wars History Podcast, what a title that is.
He's wearing the crown and the purple cape at the moment, guys.
Right, yes, Steg. From the dank mist of time, as the show is incredibly fond of saying, that I notice.
Indeed. So, Dan, what can you tell us about Stegosaurus, the first incarnation from Team Jurassic Park?
Well, Stegosaurus is actually one of the show's first successful Rambots, which is kind of a weird thing to be talking about all the way up in Series 3, but not counting the wonderful machines of the previous two series, this was the first one that really did a great job just on ramming power alone. The funniest thing about this whole situation, though, is that Stegosaurus was a reserve. Like, it wasn't originally slated to compete, and it was brought in at the last minute.
Yeah, and I think it was meant to replace T-Rex.
Appropriate, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and of course, we have a lot to thank Steg for, because, I mean, without going too far ahead, if it didn't get brought in, then we would have had yet another Napalm Heat win.
Oh God, that would have been atrocious. But yeah, God. But Stegosaurus, the stats for the original version of it that appeared in it started in Heat G and moved on from there. It weighed in at 78.1 kilograms, so under the weight limit. It was 0.5 by 1.2 by 0.71 meters square in terms of dimensions. Had a ground clearance of 0.01 meters, and its power was supplied by two 750 watt electric motors. It was armed with a pneumatic lifting tail, which really wasn't that relevant because its main weapons was just that massive fucking engine that it apparently had stuffed in it somewhere, and it apparently cost £1,500 to build, which is rather small when you compare it to today's machines.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, the machine was from Southampton, and the team members were Dan King, Peter Rowe, and Rob Heisman.
A nice selection of team names.
Indeed.
Yeah, which is a really weird thing to rate, I have to say. But yeah, they sound nice enough, I guess. Why are we talking about the team names?
Because, well, I mean, our main man, Toon Ganondorf, does run a Robot Wars Robots names blog. We've got to move on to the team members eventually.
Yeah, he's gonna run out. So
Oh no, I can't wait to read that one.
But anyway, Steg starts its Robot Wars career in Heat G, as Dan pointed out. And in the first round, it's against an evolved robot from Series 2, as Aurak makes its revenge with Aurak's Revenge, quite fittingly.
I mean, it's a decent start for Steg. It puts on a decent show of driving and.
I mean, it was a bit
does-
slow to start off with, but like when it actually did get going, it was literally just seconds, and I mean, like, or it was just basically almost like teleporting from like on either side. It was just being pushed so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Aurak's Revenge isn't a terrible Series 3 machine at all.
No, I mean there are a lot worse ones out there.
No,
It was
it
just-
reminds me of Axios, which Panic Attack beats. It's quite
Yeah.
decent at what it does. Nothing spectacular, but
It was just hopelessly outclassed. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. And it shows that Steg is pretty strong from the off.
Yeah.
And this fight gives us some very beautiful slow motion replays as well, I must say.
Oh yes. And there's a nice bit of driving with the two robots that are just dodging around each other rather than actually making contact. But
Yeah.
it's I like that kind of thing. I know some people prefer the high damage fights, but show me some good driving any day.
But
Yeah.
after disposing of Aurak's Revenge in swift style,
And then getting attacked by the house robots for no reason.
yeah, as Series
What
3
is this,
tended to
Series
do quite
2?
a lot. It then faced the best robot ever at getting itself stuck in the arena floor, Henry.
Okay, how did Henry win its first round battle?
It got stuck in the arena floor a lot, and Hardvark just broke down.
So basically,
Oh.
like a lot of Series 3 first round battles,
Yeah,
the opponent shut itself and died at the
I
end.
mean, I could say that.
Oh my
Henry-
gosh, Hardbark. First you burned down Toad's house, and now you just crap yourself against Henry and just put
I
us
mean, it
out of
really
a
does
half
say a
decent
lot about
fight.
Series 3 that I could genuinely say that Henry beat max damage or something, and Ollie wouldn't think I'm lying or anything.
Yeah.
Because half of Series 3's first round battles are just that throwaway. But
Yeah.
anyway, as we say, Henry does what it did in the last round. It spikes
Yeah, it
itself
just
in the
kind
arena
of
floor.
drives around, gets stuck in the arena floor, and then it just kind of gets absolutely murdered by the house robots.
To be fair, it didn't drive around and get itself stuck to the arena floor. It just got itself stuck to the arena floor immediately.
And then it drove around, got stuck, and then just Killalot just decides to come in and just open it in half. I don't know.
Just imagine if Henry didn't actually wheelie. Like, imagine if its front was actually always on the floor and its spike was embedded in the plywood for the entire fight, and it just digs up the arena floor until it goes underground.
That does seem like something that would happen on this show. To be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I have.
especially Series 3. But no, aside from Henry deciding to visit every single house robot in this fight, we also got a shot where Steg nearly broke the arena floor itself when it rammed Henry against the wall, and I think the arena grate kind of lifted up into the air. It was a powerful
God.
slam, to say the least.
Yeah, this was the series where the safety issues were becoming really, really apparent.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, I mean, in Series 2, the arena looks grungy enough where you feel like you can get away with a bit of a bad safety sentinel. But in Series 3, everything just looks like it's going to fall apart the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're on a tangent. So, of course, in the Heat final, Stegosaurus then faced Napalm.
Because somehow Napalm made it to a Heat final.
Yes, but
Oh
of
my
course,
God.
the thing is, at some point, Napalm legitimately has like a Steg beat against the arena wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we said in the Napalm episode that this is like the best fight that Napalm ever gives.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually impressive.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It gets absolutely murdered by Steg. Steg wrecks a robot by being a rambot. That says quite a lot about how much Napalm is mucked around the arena floor. And
Yeah.
then about 2 minutes in, Napalm just says, "I'm going to be an absolute shithouse here," and threatens to beat this grand finalist. Every time that pin happens, I think Steg's going to go over this time. It's Napalm. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But no, Steg comes through convincingly for 95% of the fight, and it's one of the most dominant heat wins of Series 3, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so I do just want to say, because like there isn't really much else to say about this fight, but like Series 3, the crowd cheers, they are the most irritating noises I have ever heard in television.
Yeah.
That rubber screeching is embedded in my nightmares. I am not even joking.
Yeah.
I think it's literally the same recording played every time.
It is.
Exactly.
There's two of them. That high-pitched whistling woman and the razor chant, where it's just razor, 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 and it's like, lads, it's Caterpillar versus Napalm. What are you doing?
They don't. The audience know what they want, even if what they want isn't there. Do they play the razor, razor, razor chant when Razor has beached itself on its own fucking tail? Please tell me they do.
They probably do. I'm gonna have to check that. And
Yeah, so
I'll
am
let
I.
Ollie know. I'll let Ollie know, and he can
And
do
then I'll
another
add it into the
note for
episode.
that.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
And so,
God.
like, if you watch the episode, it's going here.
Well, Razor's gone up in a pirouette of delight, and I think has immobilised itself. Were they celebrating too early? The wheels are spinning. And look at that back claw on the arena floor. It stabbed itself into submission, surely.
Nice.
They sure put Razor in. They sure didn't put Razor in. I guess we'll see when we actually put the episode up. Right.
But yeah, before we get on to the semi-finals quickly for Steg, the heat winners in general, as I said, it's probably one of the most convincing ones, and we might as well quickly discuss if it is the best from Series 3. I mean, even Hypno-Disc obviously had that really tough heat final.
Yeah, where it had damaged itself too much from its previous fights and was
and then
limping
Bash didn't
against
exactly help. Yeah.
I mean,
limping against the other.
Chaos 2 wasn't exactly in danger against the big cheese, but it got toppled over twice, was it? So it's
Yeah. Because was the closest that like anyone came to actually defeating Chaos 2 in the entire series.
Yeah, until the World Championships anyway, when Kilohertz gave it a good go, and then Razor just fucking murdered it.
But yeah, I really am struggling to think of a better heat win than this reserve Rambot coming to the fore.
I think to be fair, its opponent in the semi-finals, I think Gravedigger had a pretty good victory over Mortis.
Yeah, Gravedigger was consistently solid throughout it.
Like great. Yeah, so it's kind of be almost like a wild card, like a semi-finalist, because like even in like redone series, like it's hard to tell how well it will do.
Yeah. Gravedigger's a very vanilla machine, but it does give us a very, very tight fight here in the first round of the second semi-final.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Judge's decision against Steg.
I love
because
this
like people still
one.
argue about it even today, which I think we might be doing in a bit in case one of you guys think that Steg deserved to win. Because I think that Gravedigger deserved to win because it was clearly on top apart from about 5 seconds of the fight.
I can see it going either way. To be fair, I think Steg does really well in this fight, but I do think Gravedigger kind of has the edge a bit.
It's because Gravedigger has one or two visually impressive attacks when it puts Steg nearly over, and then.
But of course, then in like one of the attacks, it has Steg on the sides, and like they are incredibly lucky just to be next to Matilda, who then writes him immediately.
Yeah, that's what, the house robots taking part in doing things that way is always a little bit suspect, but
Steg does go under the radar in this fight for sure. It
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
I
with
mean,
a
I won't
lot
deny
of
that it doesn't, but I do think that Gravedigger did just deserve the win.
potential.
And to be fair, we are also watching the TV edit, and
Exactly.
we know that fights have often been rendered in a completely different form once they get to TV than they were in the actual show.
I mean, I can probably imagine that we saw all of the attacks that Gravedigger attempted, but what was edited out were probably a few more decent side-on rams from Steg, just minor blows
Yeah.
that that they can edit, but that's probably enough to swing a judge's decision. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
It's a good fight. It's
Yeah.
a close fight, and yeah, the winner of this fight goes on to face Beast of Bodmin.
This is the second fight from this episode that we've talked about in a previous one, because obviously we talked about Napalm before, and we talked about this fight back in our first episode.
Yeah,
So,
but like you were absolutely shite back then, so like let's just
that is
remaster this
true.
entire battle
That is
and
true.
just let
We
them
can
talk
we can
about
do this
it.
fight justice this time.
Yeah. Who needs Luke? Am I right, guys?
Yeah, I think I could agree there. Yeah. we
Before we diss Luke too much, what do we actually think about the fight?
it's a pretty good one. I
I'd
mean,
say it's almost like Napalm in that it's just Stegs like slowly wearing this robot down until it just kind of goes into a really quiet death.
yeah.
Yeah, Beast of Bodmin is basically Scutter's revenge. I swear, in Series 3, they're just two robots who have decent drive power, decent wedge, and then they just randomly burn down. And it's
Yeah.
like, all right then.
Yeah, Beast of Bodmin is lucky to be here. Again, it's here because its opponent in the first round of the semi-finals was, well, a bit shit. And only there because, again, Razor carked it. So, yeah.
Razor would have had a pretty free run to the grand final if it did win its heat.
Yeah. I mean,
it would
I think
have gotten Beasts of Bodmin and then Stegosaurus. Yeah, it would have thrashed both of them.
Yeah, because Razor did like it a flat, relatively defenseless Rambot as a favourite snack, but
just a bit.
But no, Razor obviously got beached on its arm, and Stegosaurus edged out Bodmin here, and it goes through to the grand final. And let's just say, after a couple of more modest machines, it now faces Hypno-Disc.
Yeah. And to be fair, it gives a pretty good account of itself.
Yeah. This is a really, really underrated fight.
I mean, the interesting thing about it is that this Hypno-Disc had to have a lot more tactical driving put into it because they couldn't power the disc and the drive motors at the same time. So they had to be really careful about when they revved up the disc, because otherwise they were basically sitting ducks. And yeah, it's a pretty damn good fight.
But of course, they knew they were going to lose because, of course, that tail which handled their taking out opponents, well, of course, they didn't have enough room for Hypno-Disc on there, so, of course, that tail can clearly predict the future.
Of course, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's like a psychic octopus. It's Stegosaurus' psychic tail.
Yep.
It's quite impressive to that this battle was of as high a standard as it actually was, because Stegosaurus has been going at full power for a few battles now. It's easy for it to feel slower, feel more ground down for this fight, but it's as fast as anything. It seems faster than usual, and Hypno-Disc is working properly for like the first time since round 2.
Yeah.
So it's and it, as we say, it brings a really, really good fight. Steg comes in with some really strong rams at times, and Hypno-Disc eventually wears it down. But it's a shame because we didn't get to see the third place playoff.
No.
Yeah, so
that is a shame.
And so I guess let's just discuss it. How do you think it would have gone? I mean, like Firestorm would have won without a doubt, but like let's just.
I don't think it would have.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not overly convinced by Firestorm's wedge in Series 3.
I mean,
That's
actually, I guess think about it. I guess the arm was a bit awkward in raising. It was very slow in raising. So I guess with Steg's speed, it could possibly.
Yeah, I just see a lot of quite hard rams being carried out.
I mean, the fact of the
there.
matter is that the reason they chose not to fight was that Steg was pretty fucked up by Hypno. So it would have been less of a fight. I mean, putting these two robots into the arena completely fresh,
Yeah,
it could have made it for a very interesting fight. And I do have to agree that there's a possibility that Firestorm wouldn't be able to get under Steg.
Yeah, I
But
could see it
putting them
being a
in
very
as
good
they
fight.
were at that point, Firestorm really hadn't taken a lot of damage after its heat. Like its final defeat was it just being lobbed over the wall without much consideration, rather than a long and grueling battle that saw it slammed into the arena floor by Chaos 2 multiple times. So in the state that the machines were in, it would have been a walkover for Firestorm, but completely fresh, I would have liked to see that fight.
yeah, it would have been a good one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that wraps up Series 3 for Steg. And
Yep.
Yeah, so
a
I think let's
very
talk about Stegosaurus just in general. I think it's a very almost forgotten grand finalist.
Yeah, when I came into Robot Wars, like I started with Series 4, so I had no idea that these Steg machines were actually descended from a former grand finalist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones that's so easy to forget. Series 3 time is when the show was starting to want those figureheads to sell for merchandise, and Steg and Steg 2 never got a toy. So,
Mainly because they had a decline and they just never got the real staying power that the other figureheads would later have.
no,
Yeah,
absolutely. But, like, for a semi-finalist in Series 4, as we'll come to see, it didn't even get something like a mini bot, which is a real shame because
yeah.
it feels like the team did
Well, I say like
plenty enough to
flipping
toy.
Mini Mog got a toy in itself, and I know that because I own all of one of the toy sets. It has Mini Mog and
Yeah,
Suicidal Tendencies. Don't actually know which one that is.
It's
Oh, well.
it's technically it's Mega Morgan. I had that one, and it was one of those weird. Well, it was one of those the second wave where they actually had working weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do we think is, or what is all three of our favourite fights from Steg in
Oh,
Series
definitely
3?
Gravedigger and the Hypno-Disc fight easily.
I would say
Um,
Napalm or Hypno-Disc myself.
It's funny, you could genuinely make a case for the lot of them, bar, well, Beast of Bodmin and Henry are their weak links, but,
So in which
Yeah.
case, Nick,
Bullshit.
why aren't they on the Ultimate Countdown?
well, because there's quite a few better fights than some
Yeah.
Series 3 fights, but, you know. But, no, I'd go for the Hypno-Disc fight too, but, no, Steg's debut campaign, it brings a lot of power, brings good fights, and it finished high.
it is.
Maybe fortunately because of the run it had, but there wasn't a time where you could genuinely say, yeah, this machine has frauded its way to the final as such.
Yeah,
held
Barbara
its own.
against Gravedigger. What?
It is also the most successful reserve robot, tied with TR2, for reaching third place, joint third place technically because it didn't fight for its third place position, but that's still nothing to be mocked. It has 5 wins and a single loss under its belt, which is better than a lot of machines.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of some other reserves that came in,
Rusty, cough.
yeah, I think
Yeah, let's
Stegs
see.
do
What other
pretty well for
reserves
themselves.
have we had in the past that sucked?
I think we just need to say Rusty.
yeah.
That gets the point across instantly.
Yeah, I mean, we know this. I mean, at this point, the story of why Rusty was chosen over something like TR2 is kind of more widely known. That basically it was a literal last minute substitution.
Wait a sec,
And,
Nick. What about Weirdosaurus? That's a reserve. Surely that's the best reserve.
Well, yeah, but that's just a given, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously.
But anyway, speaking about flippers, bad flippers in Rusty, let's get on to one that's a little bit more impressive, especially for its time. Steg 2.
Oh god, I like Steg too.
Also known as, remember that tail that we had? Yes, that was a thing.
Yeah, the tail took steroids from Series 3 machine, should we say?
Oh,
And turned
definitely.
into an actual weapon this time.
Yeah, I mean, to be the funny thing is, according to its side panels, it's called Stegosaurus. What the
Is it
fuck, guys?
actually?
Yes.
Oh my god! Oh no!
Yeah.
That's a terrible name, lads. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm glad they just went with Steg 2 on the show.
Oh no!
So Stegosaurus, weighed in at 80 kilograms, measured 0.33 by 0.85 by 0.66 meters. So it looked to be a little smaller. Had a ground clearance of 0.08 meters, so it was a little higher off the ground, and it was powered by electric powered motors and armed with a pneumatic flipper, and that is actually appropriate this time. It's not a Rambot anymore. It had an aerospace aluminium body because anything sounds cooler if you stick aerospace in front of it, and it was from Romsey this time apparently. The team was the same, and yeah, it's a nice looking machine. I mean, clear polycarb is kind of a standard with some of these Robot Wars machines from this era.
I was
And
gonna say, especially for Series 4, there's a lot of nice polycarb in this series.
oh yeah, just being able to look through and see all of that engineering porn underneath the armor is quite nice, even if it is hilariously impractical now.
Yeah.
Look at you, John Reed. Please give Terahertz a proper outfit.
Yes. But no, for Steg 2, it's a fine choice, as Dan says. But it doesn't start off its career that well because it's up against Crusader 2 in the group battle. Thankfully for it, it's also up with Kronos, and it struggles. It struggles big time here.
I think everybody judges Crusader 2 based on this fight rather than its subsequent battle with Mortis, where it got fucking bodied. But yeah, it's actually quite a tough fight for Steg 2 in round one. It has to deal with a competent, if not amazing, Rambot.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. No, we could be like Jim Dramatic and claim that it's the ancestor of Storm 2. We love you, really, Jim. But
Please join our podcast.
Please.
That's him opting out of shitbots of Series 3 now.
Apparently, but yeah, it struggles a little bit in this fight. But he does manage to cause Kronos to do a full 360 flip.
Which was pretty impressive, yeah. I think we should mention Steg 2's seeding. It was seeded number 7, which was a bit of an iffy choice, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Series 4 has always been that series with the most controversy surrounding the seeds because of the amount of them and the placing of some of them too.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. Totally gets to be the 16th seed, despite never winning a single UK battle.
Yeah, a lot of people raise complaints with Razor's seeding. That's definitely a controversial one. Spawn of Scudder being 10th compared to that high, really.
Especially seeing as it's lost its heat final, which of course Big Brother also did, and then that's seeded 14, which is much more sensible.
Yeah, but it was Bigger Brother lost its heat final, but was then granted entry to the semis because Ultor had to go home. Which is the most contentious one is obviously Stinger getting a seeding at all after its performance in Series 3. But obviously the thing is that seedings in the classic series were based not entirely on previous performance.
Do
but
you
also
hear that,
on...
Robot Wars Wiki Arena fan base? It's not just previous performances!
Yeah, it's based on previous performances, likelihood of doing well in the new competition, and just how much the producers liked you, which is why Razor was consistently high seeding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And although this seeding for Steg is part of the controversy, I honestly can't say I disagree with it getting number 7. I understand the logic behind Behemoth getting 6, and ultimately Razor broke down against Agrobot, but it still won 7 out of 8 fights in Series 3.
Yeah.
And it was at that point the freshly crowned world champion,
Exactly.
during which it had curb stomped Chaos 2. So,
Yeah, exactly. So I'm totally
Yeah.
fine with it being third seed. But yes, anyway, so I see brought us all onto a tangent. So I mean, I guess we're gonna get us out of it with the second round, in which Steg 2 went up against the father of the Flipper, also known as Iron Ore.
oh god, to talk about going from one extreme to the other, because in the previous round it struggled because Crusader 2 was putting the pressure on it and basically won out because Kronos was shit. And then it comes up against Iron Ore, which shouldn't even have got past round 1.
Oh, boy.
Because, I mean, Mortis and Mazakari got stuck together, and while Iron Ore just fucking died, and apparently Mortis and Iron Ore went through, and Mazakari was just dumped out for little adequately explained reason.
Yeah, I'll never get that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
unfortunately, it means that we get another fight from Iron Ore in Series 4. And boy, I don't know how many people have seen the unedited version of this fight, but it is a train wreck.
I mean, I didn't actually watch it because I was actually kind of liking Steg 2 at the time, and I just didn't want my idea of it to be ruined. So
yeah, it is. It's pretty grim. It's impressive that Iron Ore manages to self-right with its axe, which is still a fairly rare thing at that point.
I know. Which course is the first time that actually happens. So that's pretty much the only notable thing about this fight.
Yeah.
Apart from Iron Ore's axe completely breaking off, and I'm still not entirely sure how that happened.
Yeah.
Killalot just came out and snapped it off just because.
Yeah.
Okay.
Killalot was always into castrating its opponents for some reason.
Yeah.
I can't actually blame him because I really don't like this Iron Ore. So
no, this Iron Ore is shit.
Yeah, but guys, it's the father of the Flippers, so it's obviously really impressive, isn't it?
Oh, for goodness sake. I've only just actually recovered from that. Please don't start it up again.
I will never let that go, BBC.
Oh god, yeah, but they let Robot Wars go apparently. Gotta have another fucking cooking show or something. I don't know.
But anyway, speaking about cooking, we had a interesting lineup in the heat final. It was heating up to be a decent one between the unpopular Mortis, shall we say, and Steg. And although it looked a good fight on paper, and it isn't a bad fight as such, it's a bit of a limp fest in reality.
Yeah.
Steg hobbles around. Mortis breaks all of its weapons. It breaks
again.
It breaks everything.
Yeah.
Oh, Mortis.
And the fight is totaled by a really hefty Steg throw that immobilizes Mortis, and Rob Knight streams going to the pit yet again. After a dominant Series 3, Steg for Series 4, it's a very flimsy heat win overall.
Yeah.
Despite the improvements, it struggles in every fight.
Apart from Iron Ore, but then, like, really, if you're struggling against Iron Ore, then you are really a terrible robot.
I mean, it didn't convincingly deal with it the whole time either way, but again, that's just because of the fight being unedited. I'm sure if we saw loads of fights in their unedited state, then it wouldn't paint a pretty picture. But if Steg was under the cosh a little bit in its heat. It certainly needed to step up its game for the semi-finals
Because it was against Chaos too.
because the grand finalist from Series 3 draws the champion from Series 3. It's Steg 2 and Chaos 2.
Oh God, what a wonderful draw for the poor Steg.
Yeah. And I mean, the only thing that I could really note about this battle is that once Steg gets flipped onto the side, JP's all like, "Oh, this is the weakness of the Stream Mech."
Oh,
Mate,
God.
no, it's not. He just got flipped to the side. The Stream Mech had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, JP kind of bottles this battle a bit. The first mistake is, well, not mistake, but the first notable error as such is when Steg 2 isn't even technically beached on its side yet. It's just being rolled over, and yet he's like, Steg 2's on its side! And it's like, no, JP, it's still being rolled over.
Oh my gosh, I love
Wait
your
a
JP
second.
impression, Nick. Oh, it's just lovely.
It is completely inaccurate, but it's hilarious.
Exactly, yeah.
The way he attempts to save himself, and it's like, that's the vulnerability of a Streamek. When you're topsy turvy, it's good, but when you're on your side, oh dear. And it's like, Jonathan, why did you start that sentence? What you've done.
Oh God.
And in the meantime, while JP's rambling, Steg 2 gets counted out, gets crushed by the devilish floor flipper. And unfortunately, Steg is done for in Series 4.
It's a shame, really, because it's a pretty good machine. I mean, it's overrated as heck, but it's a pretty
Yeah,
good
I
one.
mean, yeah. So, do we think that Steg 2 could have gone further? I mean, absolutely, but how much further do we think it actually could have gotten?
Right, okay. Okay, so that would require it to get a slightly more sympathetic draw in round one of the semis. But,
Okay, so
right.
literally anyone else apart from Pushka or a Hypno-Disc then.
Let's do a quick fire. Let's do a quick fire of all of the Series 4 semi-finalists against Steg 2.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
just a simple
Steg
yes
2
or no.
versus Wheelie Big Cheese.
I'm leaning towards the cheese on that one, but I'm not sure because
Yeah,
Series 4 cheese
I think I would say
was
Steg
half.
2 there.
Yeah,
I'll edge for Steg 2 as well.
yeah.
Steg versus Tornado.
I'm not sure about this. With this tornado, would it be good enough to take this Steg 2? Probably.
Yeah, I think it's a 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
I'll edge towards Steg 2, but another good fight. Thermidor 2.
Steg 2.
I'd go with a lobster on that one.
Oh, look how split these fights are already. I'll go Steg, but that's another good fight. Pussycat.
Pussycat.
Wins. Yeah.
I think that one's a little bit more clear cut.
Yeah.
Firestorm 2.
Ooh.
The collective ooh.
Well, we know that however this fight plays out, Firestorm's probably going to go in the pit or something at one point anyway.
Yeah, with Series 2 Firestorm, no, not Series, Firestorm 2, Series 4 Firestorm, yeah, definitely. Somebody please.
Firestorm
Yeah, it's just
4 in
like
Series
magnetically
2,
driven towards the pit.
Firestorm 2 enters Series 4 and just fucking bodies the whole competition.
Oh dear. Okay, so we'll just move on from Firestorm 2. Dominator 2.
Dominator 2.
Dominator wins that one easy.
Yeah. Stinger.
I'd go with Stinger on that
Yeah,
one.
probably Stinger.
Same. Mousetrap.
Steg 2.
Steg 2 easily, yeah.
Or we're underrated Mousetrap here at Beat Little Fly.
Ooh.
Scutter.
I'd say
That's a good one, actually.
yeah, I'd say Steg 2 actually because like
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'd
feel
agree
like-
there.
yeah, I thought there was really much of a remake, so yeah.
Panic Attack.
I'd go Panic Attack.
Yeah, I'd say Panic Attack.
Probably just, yeah. Hypno. Splinter.
I think it'd beat Splinter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give it a pro against Splitter.
Yeah, they'd flip it over and it would just get stuck, I think.
Wild Thing.
I'd go Wild Thing on that one.
Yeah, I'd say Wild Thing.
Be a good fight, but yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Bit more controlled, as we know.
Yeah.
Exterminator 2.
Steg
good
2.
one. Yeah, Steg 2.
Okay.
I think it would have enough kick to strand Exterminator on its back.
Wait, Nick,
Yeah.
what about Steg 2? How is Steg 2 fair against Steg 2?
I think Steg 2 would win that one.
Controversial.
Yeah.
But the reason we went off on that, lads, is because Steg 2 doesn't appear in any of the side events in Series 4. Not the
Nope.
Pimple, not the sumo,
Not the
not the
tag team terror.
Annihilators, not the celebrities, not the tag team terror. Nothing.
Unfortunately, no. That's kind of your lot for Steg 2 in this case.
Yeah.
That sucks. Steg 2's a great machine. It should have absolutely been in a side event.
Yeah. Apart from Scorpion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, favourite Steg 2 fight? We've only got 4.
The Mortis fight, I guess.
Yeah, I guess Mortis was really that impressed. Yeah, I'd say Mortis.
Highest quality is obviously the Chaos 2 fight, but yeah, I can see the appeal for the Mortis fight. It's very, you can see how both machines are hurting, but Steg 2 still comes through with a big flip. So it has its moment there. Personally, I'd still give the edge to the Chaos 2 fight, but yeah, not much to choose from, unfortunately.
So then, after Series 4, we go into Extreme 1, and Steg, or at least not Steg 2, 3 Stegs to Heaven only had one battle.
And it wasn't a very good one.
Yeah, I mean, I like, before we go into the battle itself, like, the All-Stars are like a selection. Why was Spawn Again not in the All-Stars?
Because Spawn Again was shit.
Yes, but like it does be in there more than Dietor, or I mean even Behemoth. Like it's got a better record than both of those.
I put Behemoth in over Spawn Again. I think the thing with Spawn Again is because this was around the time of Extreme 1 and Series 5. We're all going on around about the same time. There's a decent chance that when it came time to filming the All Stars, Spawn Again just wasn't working at all.
I mean, like, there were 2 Spawn Agains. There was one used in Extreme, and there was one used in Series 5. So I don't.
Yeah, it's true. But if I recall correctly, the first round All Stars was one of the earliest things filmed because Dominator 2 still didn't have its wheel guards on it.
No, it's very possible. Yeah.
Spawn Again may not have been ready for round 1.
Right. Okay.
No,
yes.
I mean,
okay. Yeah.
Unfortunately, 3 Stegs probably would have been better off being replaced by a hybrid of half of Spawn of Scudder and half of Spawn Again, because it gets absolutely bullied by Tornado.
Yeah, but of course it's better than it could have been, because of course, seeing as the Tornado versus Stinger Vengeance battle, that was originally meant to be one of the All-Stars. That, of course, then leaves Pussycat for a 3 Stegs to fight. So I think they probably got off quite lightly in that regard.
It was one of the many Tornado fights of Extreme 1, and like most of the Tornado fights in Extreme 1, Tornado fucking dominated.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
The quite hilarious thing about this fight is that even though Steg seemed immobilized for about 2.5 minutes, it still went to a judge's decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredibly.
Yeah, because RefBot just didn't bother to count it out for some reason.
Yeah.
That's and of course, I think we do have to mention this. Otherwise, a team will absolutely murder us. But of course, 3 Stegs to Heaven, absolutely genius name. And I'm very glad that the team opened up that whole think of a new name for our robot, because we don't want to call it Steg Freosaurus. So
I was just gonna say anything would be better than that.
Yeah.
But thankfully,
I think T needs to update his blog now, for Steg 2osaurus.
Yeah, Steg 2osaurus, you heard it here first. And it's 3 Stegs to Heaven is a great name.
It's absolutely genius, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame that the machine. Okay, so the thing is, 3 Stegs to Heaven is a machine that's getting a little bit more love these days. It used to be one of the most bashed and picked on robots of the whole series, because
Wild Thing 2 probably.
Yeah, because it gets underrated a lot because
it's very different from what it was. That's pretty much the only reason.
Yeah, because Rob Heaston had left the team and took Steg 2 with him, as well as his engineering ability, which had produced the CO2 flipper for the previous robot. So they were basically left to try and make their own new machine, and it looks a bit like a crap flat Pussycat.
Pussy flat.
Pussy flat. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, everybody seems to remember it from its Extreme 1 fight where it got the shit kicked out of it by Tornado. And lots of things in Extreme 1 got the shit kicked out of them by Tornado. Everything that Tornado fought except Razor and King B got the shit kicked out of it by Tornado.
I'm Steel Avenger.
Technically King B was the one doing all the work there. So,
Yeah, but Steel Avenger won, so it was clearly better.
Of course, yes, that does make a certain amount of sense.
But oh boy, time to leave Extreme, and after, a hard fight for Free Stegs in its first appearance in that form,
It had a
It
much
gets
improved
a free win against
variation.
11 that still goes to a judge's decision.
Oh,
This is probably another reason why people underrate this robot.
okay, so I saw 11, I saw 3 Stegs, I could expect it a 3 Stegs, basically a drive right through 11 and just be done with the battle. Just
Yeah,
like
but
those,
it got-
concussion. Yeah.
He got stuck on a cable.
Yeah, just a concussion versus a Pteroturtle. I suspected a concussion this just drive right through Pteroturtle. And that would have been the best thing ever.
Imagine if Steg, its weapon, was capable of hurling 11 over, just clean over.
To be fair, when it comes to the giant walker bots, unless you've got a flipper or a gripping weapon, there's not really a whole lot you can really do with them other than sort of clip at them a bit until the clock runs down.
Well, yeah,
but
something like Storm 2 would literally run underneath 11. So
yeah, but yeah, the thing is though, 3 Stegs to Heaven doesn't just nick at it for a bit and then it goes to a judge's decision because the thing is still moving even if it's done nothing all fight. It gets tangled up in 11's cables and both the robots get counted out.
Which is just...
Robot Wars sometimes reaches for controversy, but this is probably the worst attempt at that. Craig Charles having to go, "That was incredibly tight!" It's Craig,
Craig
just counted out both machines for no reason. What are we doing? Just give the fight to Steg. Why are we padding it out with a judge's decision?
Yeah,
what is my life? Why does Series 5 suck?
Series 5 doesn't suck.
Round 1 fights do, and I'm not letting that go.
The round 1 fights do have some pretty big stinkers in them, I'll agree with that.
And of course, as I pointed out when I did my research, the 11 guy is absolutely hilarious because, we're here to learn! And then he proceeds to never appear again in the entire series.
Well, he learned never to come back, so...
Apparently.
After you've made, a friggin' 11, I think that's a pretty good thing to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, then, so... I'm not really sure why Refbot didn't do his other fucking job and just separate Steg and 11, but no, he apparently decided to count them out instead.
Yeah.
House robots, man. What are you gonna do with them?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that titanic top 100 fight, yes, we move on to a fight between Free Stegs and Tetanus,
which is usually the go-to. For people say, "Okay, guys, Free Stegs is actually pretty good."
Yeah, because Tetanus isn't a great machine in its first incarnation, but it's still, reasonably decent.
Yeah, and because Free Stegs does pretty much break chunks off it.
Yeah, it does, because that's the thing. In Extreme 1, it had a really crappy, tiny little... basically a bar, but a really shit small one.
Yeah.
Here it's been replaced with a disc, and the disc is actually pretty decent.
The bar's one of those notches. I was on the inside of my shed. It was that small. It was just one of the things it keeps my shed locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is a decent weapon, and honestly, a bit of a random spitballing thought. I think something like this would have been the way that Pussycat could have upgraded for Series 7.
That would have been cool.
A bit of a chunkier disc that still viable to do damage and doesn't
Yeah.
change its design.
Unlike the upgrade that Pussycat actually got for Series 7, which was just stick another disc on it.
Oh god, 2 blades instead of 1. Yeah, that worked well.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it did. It won them the All-Stars.
It won them the All-Stars, and they were like seconds away from killing M2. So,
Yeah, maybe I'm a bit harsh.
yeah.
But no, Steg, it's a good show of power here. Rips up Tetanus's brackets, and then at the end of this heat bracket, it faces Bigger Brother.
Yeah. And of course,
Yeah,
like, in this one, like, JP is so harsh on, like, a Big Brother. He's like, if you saw Bigger Brother last time, you would have spent it in a million light years. I'm like, mate, it wasn't that bad.
I mean, it was pretty bad.
I feel like that was...
Like, I fucking love Bigger Brother. It's one of my favourite robots, but the Series 4 version was, it wasn't great.
It just didn't have any real thrust to it, did it?
No, it was a lifter rather than a flipper in a way.
Yeah, it's like if a chihuahua was kicking your ankle.
What?
It's like, yeah, there's some, I can feel something there, but it's just doing nothing.
Yeah. Like,
When
yeah.
you say that,
and
but like the Series 4, like a BB, like over in a BattleBots, it wasn't massively terrible. So
I mean, it survived a hit from Mauler, and then Mauler killed itself,
I mean, yeah,
as
that's
Mauler
not
was
actually the
wont to
flipper,
do.
that's
So,
actually, yeah, that's more the defense than a weapon. Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. Being the other robot in the arena while Mauler dances itself to death is not really an achievement, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Bigger Brother in this fight gets to have a dance with Sakil a lot because it absolutely outclasses 3 Stegs, which
Yeah.
yet
And
again
because something happens to 3 Stegs
suffers-
on the flame pit, and I'm not entirely sure what actually happened there because it just started bouncing up and down. And I think it was
yeah,
just
well,
saw
3
hitting
Stegs kind
the
of has
flame pit.
these poles either side of the disc, and I assume one of them got stuck in the flame pit.
Yeah.
But Steg does suffer from drive issues again in this fight, which is something we haven't really covered so far.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the thing. 3 Stegs is a potentially very solid machine, but in every single fight it had, it lost drive at one point.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, like something happened against Tetanus there.
Yeah, it
And
was
because
stuck
like
against the
one of
arena
the two
wall.
like makes this amazing like grinding noise, and I don't know who it is, but it's an amazing noise, and I love that battle for that noise alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But no, anything to say about the Heat final?
I mean,
It's
it
a
gets fucking
complete
bodied, and Bigger
whitewash,
Brother
yeah.
spends most of the fight fighting the house robots instead.
Yeah, like it was a pretty easy win for Bigger Brother.
Yeah.
A pretty deserved
Yeah.
win for Bigger Brother, to be fair.
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining. I fucking love Bigger Brother, and its Series 5 campaign is one of the best parts of Series 5 for me.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, it's a brilliant campaign.
That brings an end to 3 Stegs and
that brings an end
Team
to Jurassic Park.
in general.
And so I
Yeah,
guess I'm
they-
just gonna wait for a team at Jurassic World, and I mean, no, we'll just see how bad they are. But yeah, you know,
Yeah,
It's a shame that
It's unfortunate.
That's,
They
no
did
team
intend to
meant
give it a
up.
makeover for the Sixth Wars, but it never materialized.
okay, so
No,
I
and-
don't know anything about said makeover.
No, they were actually were going to call it Steg 3. So
I'm disgusted.
well,
Yeah, for such a notable team, it's a
It's
bit of a shame that they just end up fading into obscurity with their last machine.
which
yeah.
is probably why why the robot is less well known among the greats.
yeah.
It had a bit of a limp dick finale, and that's kind of
I mean, it's
the death
kind of like
for it.
Killertron in a way. I mean, like they were a very prominent team in the
Woof.
early series, but then they just kind of faded into obscurity and just ended up kind of sucking in the eyes of many.
Yeah, not quite as sharp a decline, but no, when your decline is consistently downhill, then it's easy to fade away.
Yeah,
not quite as tragic as the decline of Panic Attack.
or
but,
even King B.
Yeah, but it's still plenty of shame to see it end that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have to try and give Free Stegs some credit. So, favourite fight from Free Stegs? I think
The
there's
bigger
over-
brother one.
Yeah, I would say tetanus actually.
Oh yeah, the tetanus one is a good shout, but the bigger brother one. I mean, if it's for 3 Stegs itself, then
Yeah.
the tetanus fight. If
Yeah.
it's just the fight in general, then the bigger brother fight, because
Pretty much.
mostly because of bigger brother, but you know.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
Yep.
And,
Yeah. Its best fight was the one where it got bodied by its opponent because we like the opponent.
Well, at least it wasn't the one against Tornado.
Yeah.
Yes. So, because it's a little bit iffy to conclude with just 3 Stegs' best battle, we want to try and have the ultimate high point. What is Team Jurassic Park's best battle? Their best performance?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, this is
Their most iconic display.
I would have to say Napalm in that case, because it is the fight that just acidifies Steg as this massively powerful pusher, and it just shows what it's all about.
Yeah, I agree with that one. The Napalm fight is probably the defining moment of
And of course, a Napalm almost beating Steg is just flipping funny, so there's that too.
Yeah, it even has that extra bit of content, doesn't it?
The fact that Napalm has reached another heat final.
Yeah, that probably makes it the worst fight, but
probably shouldn't have reached the heat final, but got very lucky with RoboPig.
We were robbed of a true grand finalist in RoboPig.
I mean, it is quite notable.
RoboPig could have beaten Hypno-Disc.
It is quite notable that for a long while there, Napalm was being outdriven by a partially immobilized robot driven by a 7-year-old. So...
Oh, Dave Crosby. Oh, dear.
Oh, we love you. We absolutely love you.
We do.
But anyway, it says a lot, doesn't it? Even on the Steg podcast, we just have to say David Crosby is the last thing.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Pretty much.
But anyway, concluding thoughts on Steg in general.
A good machine that really deserves more praise, I think.
Yeah, so it's very forgotten, and as of course the first very successful Rambo, and I think it deserves much more of a rep, even despite the loss of quality it ended up having.
Yeah. You have to look at every machine individually for Steg, and not as them as like a combined package, because ultimately they are all unique. So
yeah, it's not really a clear evolution. They change pretty much
Let
every.
Free Stegs be its own bot, dang it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that will bring a close to this episode. It's been an enjoyable ride with plenty of laughs, a quick fire round in Series 4, a bit of David Crosby praise, a bit of 11 praise.
It's just had a bit of everything, and I've actually kind of enjoyed this episode. And there has been any fires, which is also a pretty big bonus.
Yeah.
That's always a plus. I mean, it's good when we still live in our homes without them burning down in the podcast. So
yeah, I agree there.
So we've preserved our homes, and hopefully we can encourage
preserve the legacy of the Jurassic Park team.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So I've been NJGW.
Whoa.
With the Steg podcast.
Yep.
And thank you to my guests, Ollie.
Yep. Goodbye. I've been that damn beaver.
That beaver, damn beaver. Yep. And Dan, who's made a really nice return. Yeah.
Thank you. I've been Tarakan, and I'll be back. Hopefully, be back next time. What is next time? What is our next victim?
I think it's Hypno-Disc, because I think it was lined up to be after Chaos 2, but then of course you, Toast and Tuno met in real life, and then we just ended up doing that instead, and then we did Jurassic Park. So I guess Hypno-Disc.
Maybe you put me on the spot there. I'm gonna have to. Have I got? Oh god, I haven't got the Google Doc.
Let's just say we're doing Cat Free.
It could be Mace. It could be Hypno-Disc. It could be Max Damage. Who knows?
Oh god, Max Damage. That's an episode we're all looking forward to.
Absolutely. It could even be on stop.
So lads, join us next time for that Max Damage podcast.
Oh yeah.
Goodbye.
We'll be spending a lot of time analysing that one fight where it didn't move.
Yeah. Goodbye.